Oh, wow, I didn't realize we had a guest on this one.
Yeah, guys, it's the human spider. He's coming in. Oh, God, he has a gun.
Oh, no. Oh, jeez.
Alright, hey, welcome back, everybody. I haven't slept all night, so I'm, gonna be crazy this episode, but I didn't sleep all night last episode, because I've just kind of returned. If I just don't work, I just return to being a night creature. So, you are also a night creature, so I'm sure you understand.
Yes. Yeah, no.
But, yeah, we're
I've
coming
been up
back
all night, too.
for another sick-ass episode of Screen Weens.
Steve McQueen?
What?
Steve McQueen?
Steve McQueen? What about Steve McQueen?
It's this one. That's what this one is.
That's not what this... Should I transport back in time?
Oh, wait, no, wait.
Steve McQueen, the director of the Chooper.
Oh, yeah. For some reason, I did the thumbnail this last night, so I rewatched every Steve McQueen movie. I didn't watch the two. My bad. No, I watched the two.
I know you watched the two because you literally said I'm 21 minutes into the Chooper.
I didn't say if I watched Portrait of a Lady on Fire or not, though.
Yeah, you're right. Instead, you just watched the Chooper again. Sorry, Blood Shack.
Oh, yes. The version we watched was called The Chooper.
Yeah. And I have an explanation for why they're titled two different things.
Oh.
Yeah, anyway, we'll be talking about Blood Shack / The Chooper soon, and then after that, Portrait of a Lady on Fire. But before that, as we always do every week, Thomas, what are you up to this week?
Nothing much. Worked a little bit. And then played the new Resident Evil game.
And you beat it already, right?
Yeah. I beat it the same night. It was good.
Jeez, how many hours was it?
Oh, I beat it in 5. It's not long.
Huh.
Yeah, it's only one campaign.
How long was 2?
I mean, if you're good at it, you can beat it in an hour.
You can beat Resident Evil 2 in an hour? I haven't played Resident Evil 2 since I was, a child. So.
You can beat most of the Resident Evil games within, an hour. I think, 4 and up, it starts, jumping up to, an hour and a half or stuff, but, yeah, speedrunners can beat them in, an hour.
Well, yeah, but that's speedrunning.
Well, I mean...
Is that speedrunning glitchless?
In RE1 Remake... It is. In this one, I don't know what the speedrunning techniques are for this one. There's multiple things in Resident Evil 2's remake that could make it a lot faster. You can have, unlimited ammo, rocket launcher. That'll have you beat the game pretty fast, but...
Yeah.
If you do it with, just regular guns, you can beat it pretty fast still, just not as fast.
Huh. Good to know.
Yeah.
So you beat Resident Evil 3, and then you started playing the new 1 vs. 4. Does that kind of play the Friday the 13th game at all? Or?
Kind of, a little bit. I mean, it's the same general concept where it's a group of people trying to survive together against one person who has a slight advantage, I guess. I wouldn't say he has...
Who's the one person playing as? Is it Nemesis or whatever his fucking name is?
No, so basically there are different survivors you can pick from. They all have different types of skills. And then there are 4 different masterminds you can pick. And each mastermind has a different ultimate it can summon. So
okay.
Yeah, so one of them will summon the Tyrant, and another one will summon William Birkins with the G virus, and yeah, it's fun. They're quick little rounds, and yeah, I don't know. It's an enjoyable little game. It's definitely still needs a lot of stuff added to it. It's still pretty bare, but it's good. I'm enjoying it.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to watch anything? Or just kind of mostly been in a gaming mood?
Mostly been in a gaming mood. I actually stumbled across some of, like, Smosh's content, so I've been checking out, like, some of their newer stuff, because it's been... Because I haven't watched Smosh since, like, the Ian and Anthony, like, back when they were just doing sketches back in, like, probably, like, 11 was around the time I stopped watching Smosh.
Yeah, same.
So I was just kind of, like, going down the rabbit hole, checking out some of the, like, different series they do now, just kind of trying to see what it's like. It's
I can answer that. Not good.
I will say there are some good things about it. Like, I've noticed, like, there is a silver lining there. But, yeah, I'm probably gonna, like, not watch any more Smosh for another, like...
Anthony's channel's really interesting.
I've, like, seen one of his videos in the last couple years, and I know that he, like, moved towards what I had, like, perceived as, like, Shane Dawson type, topic-centered videos, but I hadn't watched any of them. I had watched, like, one of them.
Yeah, except they're actually, like, interesting.
Yeah. That was just my like, surface-level interpretation of it.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
But yeah, I might check out some of his channel next, just for curiosity's sake, and then move on with my life. Because now all my fucking YouTube recommendation is Smosh, and it's like, no.
Yeah. Occasionally I'll watch a video, like, for the meme of it. I'm like, I'm just gonna watch a nostalgia critic video. Because I watch them, even though I, like, hate them. Yeah. And I'll watch one. And then my recommended feed, I'm just like, no! Stop showing me Doug Walker's face!
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure I, like, clicked the thing that made it so it won't suggest that channel to me anymore, because I'm just like, I don't want it. Get this shit out of here.
Get this fucking shit out of here. Oh. I had a great week for movies.
Yeah, like, you watched Gundam.
I watched the rest. So last week I just watched, when we recorded the podcast, I just watched the first Origin film, and I loved it. Like, I really, really loved it. And then me and Pierre and occasionally other people would jump in, because the recaps at the beginning of those Origin films are, like, really good. Yeah. To the point that, like, you can just jump in. But we watched the rest, and I pretty much loved them all. The second one I thought was the weakest, but I still, like, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I mostly just, like, thought that the pacing was really off in that one.
Yeah.
Because, like, they were telling, like, two vastly different stories and, like, pushing them together.
Yeah. The pacing's a bit off, and I don't like the whole, like, just convenience of, hey, there's a guy here who looks exactly fucking like you.
I mean, I thought it was, like, a weird thing, but I do like, what they do with, like, I can forgive it because I really like, the way they handle the situation going forward from there. So I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. It's just a small drop in the ocean that is Gundam.
You know, but the third one, especially, the third one was my favorite. The third one was fucking amazing.
Yeah, the third one's really good.
Especially the, like, assault on the compound at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 4 and 5. I like 4 and 5, but they leave, like, less of an impression with me.
5 was actually my, I think, second favorite.
It's just, it always, like, blurs straight into the original series for me. Because it's
well, that's what's, like, good about, like, I hadn't seen the original series, which I started. I just finished episode 6, like, right before we talked. And I'm loving the show so far.
Yeah, like, it's pretty great. I thoroughly enjoy the show.
Like I can say that, like, even from just seeing 6 episodes in the 6 Origin films, I have a feeling that Gundam, like, Mobile Suit Gundam's probably going to be, like, my favorite anime.
Yeah.
And the theme song is so good.
Oh, I fucking know, right? That thing is a fucking slapper.
Oh, no. So that was great, but we also have been continuing our, like, quarantine movie day.
How's that been going?
That's been going really well. We watched the sequel to Who Killed Captain Alex a couple days ago. It's called Bad Black. That's also on Hollywood's YouTube channel for free.
Oh, okay.
And I loved it. Not as much as I loved Who Killed Captain Alex, which I think is, like, for what it is and what it's trying to be, and for a celebration of, like, micro-budget filmmaking, I think it's a masterpiece. In like, the way that it is, you know?
Yeah. Expertly crafted with what the resources available.
Yeah. Let's see. When did we record the was it the 31st, right? Yeah. So, that day, like, later that day, we watched Boruto the movie.
Oh.
Which, I hate Naruto.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that I would not like Boruto because I hated the movie.
Probably. I mean, not even all Naruto fans like Boruto, so that's gotta say something.
Yeah. We watched the Ghibli film The Wind Rises, which I was, like, really excited for.
I had seen, like, the first half of it, and then I, like, fizzled out.
I didn't really like it. I felt like I wasn't connecting with anything on screen.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, I need something. And then I just, like, it was very pretty. I watched the dub as well, and Werner Herzog is one of the characters. Oh. So that was fun.
I know that the kid who does Steven Universe does, like, the
he plays the young version, which is only on screen for, like, 15 minutes at the most. But
yeah.
And then I wanted to keep watching more Mr. What's his name? Buster Keaton. There it is. I want to watch more Buster Keaton. I only got a chance to watch one more, though. I watched The Cameraman, which is or actually, did I watch? I think I had just watched Steamboat Bill Jr., like, right before we did the podcast. And that was the movie that was, like, a financial, like, it just got destroyed in the box office to the point where Buster Keaton had to close his own production company.
Oh.
And he signed on with MGM, which he would later say was, like, the greatest mistake of his entire life. Because they started taking away, like, all of his creative control.
Yeah.
But The Cameraman was the first movie he made with them. And at that point, they were, like, because he was already working on it beforehand, before, like, he had to close up shop, so they let him have pretty much all of his creative control. So it still had that same, like, Buster Keaton flair. And that was really good. I realized that Buster Keaton has, like, had a six-pack. So I was like, what the fuck? Because at one point he takes off his shirt to change, and I was just like, what the fuck do I do with this information? Because, like, the way he wears his clothes, he wears, like, these big baggy suits, and then he takes off his shirt, and he's, like, kind of, like, ripped, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
So that, like, startled me. But that makes sense because he does, like, you watch him do his, like, athletic stunts, like, the ones that aren't just, like, him falling off something.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he'll be, like, just doing, like, a tightrope and he'll fall off and he'll just, like, pull himself up in, like, a sec. Like, it's obvious that he was very athletic, but I just never connected that. So when that happened, I was just like, is that a six-pack on Buster Keaton?
Well, now you know. Don't forget it.
And then we watched Her. Joe picked Her for one of his movie picks, because he had never seen it, and you haven't seen it? Yeah. But, I loved it just as much as I loved it before. I really like Spike Jonze as a director, so I was pretty sure I was still gonna really like it.
Yeah, I mean,
but I did.
From what I hear, I'll probably love it. I just haven't gotten around to watching it yet.
Too busy playing Resident Evil 3.
Oh, yeah.
And then, spoiler alert, the Chooper kind of made me be like, wow, maybe films were a mistake. Not really, but... So then I'm like, I'm gonna watch some films that kind of remind me of this, but that I remember liking. So I watched, so the Cinemassacre, have you ever seen James Rolfe's, like, senior film project? It was Legend of the Blue Hole.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I rewatched that. And, like, it's still decent. Like, I don't think, like, it's legitimately kind of good.
Yeah, it's, the production definitely is the weakest aspect of it, but I liked the idea behind it, and I liked the idea of, like, this New Jersey-centered anthology
like Twilight
series.
Zone kind of, yeah.
I wish that he would have
done
done
the storytelling of that first episode is strong. Like, it's like, James, it's time. Just retire AVGN and just bring back the New Jersey, like, what was it called?
New Jersey Devil.
It was called The Jersey Odysseys. That's what the show was going to be called. Just bring back that. And then I watched one that I hadn't seen before. Have you ever seen the video, The Dragon in My Dreams?
Yes, that's a really good one.
Yeah, I was like, that like made me like kind of like emotionally, like it hit me.
Yeah.
I didn't like cry or anything, but suddenly I was just like, what the fuck?
I really like all of his like
his retrospective stuff, yeah. And I haven't seen most of those. I haven't seen the like 25-minute one he's done, but I watched that one. That was the first time I'd seen it, and I was like, wow, I thoroughly enjoyed that. I was gonna watch more Cinemassacre movies, but then I watched Portrait of a Lady on Fire, and I'm like, okay, I need to watch more movies by this woman. Mm-hmm. So she co-wrote this claymation movie called My Life as a Zucchini, and it was like 65 minutes or something. So I'm like, I'm just gonna watch this right now. So I did, and it was delightful. I don't know why I'm saying it was delightful. It was pretty sad.
Okay.
It was about this kid who he has like his dad like abandoned his family, and his mother was like a super big alcoholic, and he lived in the attic, and one day like he like spilled something out of the attic, and his mom was like coming to come beat him, and he was like really scared, and as she was climbing the stairs he like closed the attic door on her, and she like hit her head and like fell down the stairs and died. And that's like the first like 3 minutes of the movie. So then he gets sent to an orphanage, and it's like all these kids are sad, and like it ends on a nice note, and there are happy moments, but like there's a lot of downer moments in that movie too. But it was good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then like 5 hours ago, I watched Water Lilies, which was Celine Sciamma's first feature film. And that also had Adele Haenel in it, who is in Portrait of a Lady on Fire. And that was very good as well. She plays Eloise.
Okay.
Which is the lady that's on fire in the portrait.
Yeah.
She's the lady on fire!
Whoa.
And then for my pick yesterday for a little movie day, we watched The Man from Nowhere, which is a South Korean revenge thriller, which I really, really liked. So I've had a pretty great week for movies, and just in general, I've been playing lots of Dynasty Warriors. I finished season 5 of Bleach. Started season 6, but then I started watching Gundam, and I'll probably finish Gundam in the next, 2 days, because it's only 43 episodes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a quick watch.
And then I'm probably going to watch the recap films afterwards, because I would like to see how because it doesn't seem like too much, content to put, it seems like they could make them pretty good, because a lot of, probably, let's say, 5 or 6 minutes of each episode is, either the recap or the opening or, saying what's happening next week. So, If every episode's like only actually like 16 minutes, it's like 4 to an hour. And all the movies, I think, are 2.5 hours long. So it seems like they could theoretically make them like really well streamlined and good. So I would like to see how they do that.
Yeah, it's to my understanding that they do that. So I haven't seen any of them though. I plan on rewatching because when I stopped watching the series about approximately a year ago, I had intentionally stopped where the second compilation movie ended. That way I could like hop right back into it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm probably going to watch that. I really want to, because for episode 50, we're obviously doing our top 50 films. Mm-hmm. I really want to get to the point where I think it's the original series, and Zeta, I think, is like the sequel series to like the original, like with the same characters.
Yeah, the trilogy is Mobile Suit Gundam, Zeta, and then ZZ, Char's Counterattack. And that's like the kind of like core of the Universal Century. There's a bunch of other stuff, and
I would like to...
Zeta has like some movies that like are rebooted and kind of like change what happens in it.
Yeah, I think it's called like Zeta Reimagined or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've heard decent things about that, but
yeah, I wouldn't know. I haven't seen.
But I would like to be able to rewatch Char's Counterattack, like with the knowledge of like all of the Universal Century series, just because like I loved it so much with almost no knowledge of Gundam, to the point that like I could see it becoming like a favorite of mine if I do have all that knowledge backing it.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Pretty good. I'm very excited to watch Gundam. I've been loving it. I'm 6 episodes in, and it was like, I was really scared that like the tone would be a little like not as brutal as like some of the Origin films, but no, people are like, the whole series so far has been pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Right now I'm getting to the point where Amuro's like battle fatigued and like it's just sad. And I love sad shit, you know? That's my favorite thing. I'm like, oh, it's sad? I'm in.
Yeah. There's like a ton of shit that happens like before episode 10 that's gonna like rock your fucking world. So that's all I'm gonna say on the matter.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm just kind of speechless at how much I'm enjoying that show, to the point where like I keep wanting to watch more Beastars so I can like finish it and keep it out of my mind, but instead I'm like, you got Gundam, and then I also have Bleach, and I really like Bleach. I'm like, Bleach Gundam, and I'm like, fuck, I have this series in the back of my head that'll bother me till the day I finish it, but I hate it.
So don't.
Which is so sad because everyone likes it, and I'm like, why can't I like things people like?
I don't know.
And tonight, for our movie night, it was Joe's pick, and we're watching Good Time.
Oh.
Which, it's not a good time.
Yeah.
It's a bad time, if anything. But yeah. I've seen it, I think, twice, and I really like that movie, so.
I've only seen it the one time. But 'tis a good movie.
Oh. All right. Are we ready for some questions?
Sure.
All right. We got one pair of questions. Well, sorry. 3 questions, all coming from Pierre DePollo. Number 1. What are your favorite sci-fi ships?
The USS Enterprise.
The Enterprise is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with I'm gonna go with the Jedi Starfighters. I really like the Jedi Starfighters design. Go with that. Or, what else do I fucking like? The thing is, like, when I think about sci-fi ships, I just kind of love them all. Because I just like the look of spaceships.
Yeah.
And as long as they just don't look like a regular spaceship, I'll probably be like, wow, I like that one.
Fair.
I really like the look of the Musai in Gundam. I think they're really funky looking. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's probably my picks. I'm trying to think if I like any other ones. It's gonna be one of those things that we're gonna end the podcast and be like, what the fuck was I thinking? I love this ship.
Yeah.
But I don't. It's not a big deal. Okay, number 2. What would you name a pet spider?
Probably pet spider. I don't know. It would depend on the spider.
I'm always a fan of giving pets like human names, but spiders, I think you have to be like really particular with what kind of human name you would give it. So I'm thinking like either Theodore, Arthur, or like Gertrude.
I like Gertrude. That's a good one.
Gertrude the spider, yeah.
What's the name? I think Jeff is the name of the spider. That's Billy's kid in Billy and Mandy. I think I would name my spider that.
Jeff the spider, yeah. I just love giving pets human names.
Yeah.
Okay, number 3. What appliance would you steal from Lowe's given the chance?
I don't know. Paint, maybe? Brush? I don't know. What do they sell there?
What appliance? They sell appliances.
Oh.
I want like a really nice refrigerator. Like a big, like double-sided refrigerator. I love nice refrigerators. So maybe one of those.
I would take a new washing machine.
Maybe a new washing machine.
I don't know how I'd steal that, but...
Well, given the chance, so maybe like, I don't know, the store like blacks out and you're suddenly like there by yourself. Or maybe you get jumper powers like in the movie Jumper starring Hayden Christensen, but only for like an hour and only to, like, you can only jump from your house to Lowe's and Lowe's from your house, and you can only bring with you like one appliance from Lowe's. And then you lose the jumper powers like forever. That's a good idea for a movie.
Yeah.
Jumper, but you can only jump to Lowe's.
Lowers.
Like, wait, what did you say?
Lowers.
What?
Lowers. Like, lower with an S. Like jumper, but low, you know.
Okay. I was just like, what does that mean? Okay, I was hearing you correctly. I just couldn't comprehend what, like, that word meant. Because I'm tired. I'm just like, lowers? Genius. Alright, well, see, we brought back movie ideas, and I had a great one. You jumped to Lowe's. Lowers. Thank you, Pierre, once again for the questions. Let's just jump into it, because Thomas's mic's cord is breaking or something.
Something.
So, let's talk about what is it, Ray Dennis Steckler?
Yeah.
Classic! Bloodshack.
Bloodshack or the Chooper.
Known as the Chooper. This movie sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know, did you like it?
I'd say I enjoyed it.
Okay, that's good. I didn't. I was kind of fascinated by it, but I don't know if I liked anything thing in it. No, that's not true. I like one thing, which we'll get to.
I mean, I don't think I'll like ever jump to rewatch it or anything, but there were definitely things about it that I respected.
So this movie came out in 1971, and it runs, the Blood Shack cut is 55 minutes. The Chooper cut is 70 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you want to know the difference, Thomas?
The rodeo scenes?
Yeah, the rodeo scenes.
Yeah. I read the little IMDb thing that said that it was too short to be considered a feature, so they added like 10 minutes.
Just so they could put it into theaters and drive-ins. And he's like, he couldn't possibly spend any more money on making like scenes related to the film. So he's just like, I got it. I'm going to go film the rodeo.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a intriguing little film. You want to just jump straight into the plot, or? Yeah,
because I have more stuff to talk about, like kind of the production and stuff, but mostly after the plot's like explained and we talk a little bit more about it. The plot's like paper fucking thin, so it'll take like no time to fucking explain the plot.
Okay. So the film begins with a retelling of an old folk tale about the Chooper. So basically, a pioneer named Ed Walton shot the young son of a native chief, who then vowed revenge and placed a curse upon the family. So 2 days later, the entire Walton family is murdered in their house, and whoever stays in that house dies ever since. And basically, at some point in the last, 150 years, our main character, Carol, her uncle Jim acquired the property and built a new house on the property, but out of respect for history, he left the Chooper house standing. So, the film really begins without just an exposition dump, with a couple kids who are running over to this property, and there's a shirtless guy in a cowboy hat digging a hole out in the front yard named Daniel. And basically they're like, yeah, can we play here? And he's like, yeah, just stay away from the Chooper house.
And then they immediately go towards the Chooper house.
So he yells at them and they run away. And he's like, your mom called, get out of here. So this car pulls up and a trio of people get out. 2 men, 1 woman. And they talk about one single woman. But they get out and they talk about the Chooper legend. And the 2 guys refuse to stay and they ditch the woman, whose name is Connie, by the way. Her name is Connie. We find out much, much later in the film.
Yeah.
But, so basically they just ditch her with her sleeping bag and she's left to stay there, and she goes inside and Daniel instantly follows her and he's like, what are you doing? You can't stay here. This is the Chooper house. You'll die.
She's like, it's okay. The Chooper will get you. The Chooper, he'll get you. I'm warning you.
She's just like, it's okay, baby. I'll be fine.
I ain't afraid of your ghost.
So basically he's like, fine, but he's gonna get you, and then I'm gonna bury you in the morning. But so then there's this scene where she quickly strips down to her undergarments and just sits in the dark for 3 whole fucking minutes, just sitting in the dark. Occasionally she'll call out Daniel's name. Be like, Daniel, is that you? Are you playing a joke on me? Yeah, she hears something. She's like, Daniel? She's laying on this fucking gross-ass mattress. And I was like, You brought a sleeping bag, you fucking idiot. But, I was disgusted. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. I was like, you'd just be better off sleeping on the floor, honestly.
Yeah.
But after 3 minutes of just her sitting in the dark, we get a loud scream from the Chooper, who then chases her around the house and stabs her to death with a sword. And wherever he stabs, they just kind of put fake blood over top of. There's no like cuts or gashes or any sort of special effects like that.
It's not even like anywhere close to convincing fake blood. It literally just looks like Frank's Red Hot sauce.
Yeah. So Daniel finds her body the next morning and grieves with a nice tall glass of "I told you so" and buries her body.
Yeah, he's like, I told you the Chooper would get you.
Yeah, you deserve this. I warned you.
He buries her body, and as he's doing that, he takes her wallet, and he was like, well, good thing the Chooper didn't need this money. That's one of the one things I kind of liked. I was like, I like that. That's funny.
I found the whole, Daniel bit of the plot very funny. Whenever he was on screen, I had a blast. Whoever that actor was, he was great. He made this movie.
I don't know if I liked it, but I definitely thought he was more entertaining. He was only in this, pretty much everyone was a non-actor except for Carolyn Brandt, who plays Carolyn in the movie, and the guy who plays Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact, those two little kids are just the director's children.
Oh. I guess that would make sense.
He's like, I don't have any money. They made this movie for $500.
Yeah, I saw that. And it's like, oof. Man.
I was reading, to learn more about this movie, I kept, finding these, old, forums from, 2005 to, 9. And one of them was you know what? If you had to make a movie for $500, I bet you couldn't do better. And to that, I disagree. I think I could do better.
The writing quality could definitely be much better, at the very least.
I don't know if they wrote a script for this. I know they're credited as writers, but I feel like they made an outline and they called it a script. Because most of the lines are just repeating what they've said.
Yeah.
Daniel, I feel 90% of his lines are, the Chooper will get you! I told you the Chooper will get you!
Yeah. Oh man. So, quickly after he buries Connie, he's supposed to go pick up Carol because she's taking over the property. So he goes to pick her up, but he's an hour late. And he says that there was an emergency, so he had to take care of it. So as soon as they get back to the property, Tim is there waiting. And he's this guy, you get the impression that he's kind of hung around before, he's friends with Daniel. But he means business while he's here now. He wants to buy the ranch. But
what?
Carol's just not selling.
He wants to buy the ranch?
I know, it's the only fucking line he says in the
I'm
movie.
gonna buy this ranch. And Carol says, no, you know what? I think I'm gonna keep it. He's like, no, I'm gonna buy it.
She's like, oh, no, you're not. Yeah, so, Daniel leaves shortly after, he goes to take the trash down the road or something like that, and she goes and she kind of checks out the Chooper house, and then the kids show up, and she basically gives them permission to go inside. So they do, and then Daniel shows up and scares them out of the house. And I will say the soundtrack in the scene where she was checking out the house I thought was pretty good.
Honestly, I like the soundtrack, I don't think it was really special, but I think it was leagues better than most of the other things about this film.
Yeah, for sure.
I like the Chooper song.
Yeah.
Like
the Chooper song wasn't bad. I like the track that played in this scene, and there's a track that played during one of the later rodeo scenes that I thought was really good.
That's what I was saying. I'm like, I don't like how fucking useless this scene is, but this track's kind of bopping.
Yeah, and I looked all over online. I can't find, like, just a solid version of the track uploaded online or anything. I can't even find any information about it. So.
This is so weird because I hated this movie, but I said this to you. It fascinates me, and I kind of want to try to track down a DVD copy of it.
Oh, there's one on Amazon for like $8.
Because apparently on the DVD copy it has both cuts, but it also has 2 commentary tracks.
Oh.
And it's just, I just want to know, like, who thought this was a good idea?
Yeah. Couldn't tell you.
Oh, but, okay, so he picks up Carolyn, they do that, the kids run out, and then throughout this whole movie, not a lot happens.
Yeah, this is where it starts to really just become filler scenes.
And it's
more so than it already was.
And it's mostly just, like, seemingly improvised lines. And, like, I don't mind improvised acting, you know? Like, but if you're just gonna repeat the same sentence over and over again, I'm probably not cool with that.
Like, basically we get, like, this kind of handful of scenes here where, she has, like, Daniel show her around the ranch. She buys the kids some soda, and she talks about how she wants kids. And then, there's, like, a scene where she's, like, at the gas station, and she's talking to Tim again, and she's saying what he's telling her, and they're showing that they're talking, but she's got, like, this recorded exposition where she explains what he's saying in the scene. And it's like, why didn't you just, I don't know, write some fucking dialogue for the scene that you shot? Maybe the audio turned out bad for that, but I don't know.
It's interesting because a lot of the narration is, like, there's a lot of strange, like, meta, like, narrative about this movie that it presents in itself, because, like, Carol
is a like
plays herself.
Horror movie maker.
Like, so she pretty much plays herself. Like, in the movie.
They have one of the posters for one of the directors'
the
other
Thrill
movies.
Killers, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Oh.
Something
and that's
like
that. It feels like, you know, the interesting part is this movie's like this weird meta thing on, like, her introspective parts where she's just like, I failed, I never was able to accomplish what I wanted to be. Like, obviously, like, that's how she actually feels, at least partially. And,
yeah.
Like, Ray Dennis Steckler and her, the director and her, were married at this point. Like, they were married, and they divorced, like, 2 years after this, and they had been married, like, a decent amount of time, I think, like, 12 years or something. But it feels like this movie, at some points, it feels like her being like, my life was a mistake, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It definitely feels like that. And it's like you're watching this, and it's just like, I feel like I shouldn't be watching this. I feel like this is like, I'm reading somebody's diary from the 70s.
And that's, like, the interesting part. I just wish, like, the execution was, like, good, or it was just, like, a vlog. I wish I had just kind of been reading this, I guess, without all the surrounding, like, horror scenes that aren't horror. I mean, they are, I guess, but they're bad.
Yeah, they're bad horror. They're more comedy than they are horror.
Can we talk about the Chooper's monster design real quick?
Sure.
It's a guy in, like, a hoodie with a sword.
Yeah.
That's it. And like a mask. It's really bad.
And I like how he's wearing like this completely like black outfit. And it's like, someone pointed this out on like the IMDb, but it's like you're wearing a black outfit in the desert. You're not gonna like, obviously you're gonna be seen. Yeah. The idea when like wearing an outfit like that is like to blend into the night.
Yeah. And it's just like, what the fuck? And I'm like, aren't you supposed to be a Native American spirit? Why are you in just like a sweatshirt?
Well, we'll find that out here very soon. So. It's very heavily implied throughout like the first 99% of the movie that Daniel is the Chooper. Because the way that they kind of set it up is like, he'll warn people, he'll like be off screen when it happens and then immediately find their bodies. Specifically the scene where it becomes like really like hits you over the head like, oh yeah, it's gonna be Daniel who's the Chooper, is the scene after the rodeo. By the way, there's a rodeo scene. We're just not gonna talk about it though, because it's just that.
It's just him filming the rodeo.
But Connie's husband shows up, and he basically is like, yeah, I'm gonna go check out the Chooper house, because I haven't seen my wife, and this is where she was last seen.
And he walks in and immediately dies.
Yeah, like
and then 2 seconds later.
And the way that they make it look is like Daniel just like went into his house, put on the mask, grabbed the sword, and immediately did it. And then
Daniel's talking to like the open doorway.
Yeah, like, he finds the body, and he's like, oh boy, I warned you, the Chooper was gonna get you.
And then he's like talking to the Chooper, and he's like, don't worry, I'll never let them tear down this house.
Yeah. He's like, you'll keep killing them, and I'll keep burying them, just to preserve this house.
But around the same time, we learn that Tim, the guy who wants to buy the house, is in it for... He had said he wanted to buy it so that he could tear it down to get rid of the curse. But we find out that actually there's like precious resources underneath the land, and he just wants to get those.
And there's also this setup where it's like his grandfather and Carolyn's grandfather had like this feud over who really owned the property. And Tim's grandfather obviously like lost the dispute, but it's kind of like insinuated that it has something to do with this Chooper curse, perhaps. But yeah, basically after that scene there's another rodeo, but this time at the rodeo Tim shows up and he's like, you're gonna sell me your property. And she's like, no, I'm not. And then
like every other scene was Tim.
Exactly. Then an officer shows up to the Chooper property, and he basically asks to check out the house because a lot of people have gone missing there. And she's like, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, specifically Connie and her husband. Like, that's who he's, like, looking for. Like, that's who he names.
So he goes and he checks it out, and he's killed by the Chooper. And this is the first and only scene where we don't see Daniel clean up the body, so we're left to presume that it was the Chooper who did it. I think. Because I don't remember Daniel cleaning the body up, but maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe it was off screen. But then Tim pays another visit, and this time he's very adamant about buying the property. Kind of low-key threatens them.
I know that you just want the minerals or whatever. And he's like, what?
So he gets really mad and beats up Daniel.
Yeah, they get into a fight.
Well, technically, he was getting kind of handsy with her, and then Daniel, like, stepped in, and that led to, like, the full-on brawl. It wasn't completely, I guess he just went over and started wailing on Daniel. But, yeah, so the two of them fight, and then she picks up, like, a 2x4 and threatens to, like, beat him. And then she hits him in the leg anyway. He grabs his hat and he leaves. And then we get another rodeo scene, the final rodeo scene. And then, yeah, they go back to the house. And in a plot twist, it turns out Daniel is not the Chooper, because the Chooper attacks him and stabs him. And then Carolyn goes over and checks out the Chooper house, where she is then attacked. But then she, like, runs outside and runs past Daniel, who is still alive, and he then starts wrestling with the Chooper.
Yeah, he tackles the Chooper.
And then she picks up a shovel that the kids were playing with earlier, and then she hits the Chooper with it, and then Daniel takes the Chooper's sword and stabs him, and then they both die. And then, but right before Daniel dies, he goes, "This is just Tim. This is Tim here. He just wanted to scare you off the land. The Chooper is still real, I tell you." And then he dies.
Yeah, so, like, it implies that either Daniel was the Chooper, like the original Chooper, like the one that was killing all the people, or that the Chooper is a real thing and all, like, Tim was just this kill, but, like, Daniel's whole thing, if the Chooper was real and Daniel's whole motivation was like, no, we gotta kill people to keep them from, like, tearing down the house, I'm like, that's the opposite of what that would do.
Yeah.
Because Tim is like, oh, I'm gonna kill them to, like, or I'm gonna at least scare them to get them to, like, sell the house. Or to tear it down, which is a much more reasonable line of thinking than, oh, if we keep murdering people, they won't tear down the murder house.
See, I think Daniel's line of logic there is that nobody knows that the bodies are there, so he buries them to keep people from discovering, like, oh yeah, officially the murder was in this house. So maybe that was his line of logic. Maybe I'm doing too many mental gymnastics here. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just
Probably.
Like... it's just a bit silly. It's also like, I just don't... Because it wasn't... This house, like, when we saw the road, it didn't seem like it was off a main road or anything. It seemed like it was, like, close to town, to the point that I'm like... If you were trying to carry a body out, someone would see you. You're on a flat plane of land.
Yeah.
And I'm like, one body, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Obviously, you just got lucky. But if he just kept doing it, it's just like, what the fuck is going on? Oh, everyone in the town's blind!
Apparently.
Let's see. I think I wrote some things about the movie. Let me open up my Google Docs real quick.
Oh. Yeah, I mean...
I feel like... I don't know if I would like the movie anymore if I had seen the other, like, Steckler films. Probably not, because I have a feeling I wouldn't like any of them. Even though I know that he just... It's funny, because, like, I like watching, like, trash movies as much as the next person, but I just don't understand the people that are like, these are my favorite types of movies, Like, I like them occasionally, but there are people that I know that are like, I only watch B movies.
Yeah. I couldn't understand the appeal of, like, only watching B movies, but I totally get, like, the appeal of liking movies like this.
I don't know if I get the appeal of liking movies like this one, but I get, like, I have a feeling that there are Ray Dennis Steckler films that are well, like, received, like, by the general public, I guess. From what my reading, it feels like even, like, a lot of fans of Steckler didn't like this movie because it just is nonsense.
Yeah. I don't know. I find movies that are, like, these clearly just kind of like shot on video, no budget movies where you're just left kind of wondering a lot. Like, oh, why did you possibly make this decision with this movie? And I don't know, there's something kind of charming about like really bad bottom of the barrel movies from this era in particular. And something I want to talk about that, because I said I kind of respect this film in some manners. So this predates a lot of the slasher genre, and I would typically expect a movie of this tier to come from like the early 80s, but it came from like the early 70s. So this movie like predates
like
Black
Halloween
Christmas,
yeah.
Halloween, Friday the 13th, like The Burning, all of like these iconic slasher movies. So, because the only slasher movies that I know of before this, there might have been more kind of bottom of the barrel ones like this, but I know that there's Psycho and Sleeping Tom, or Peeping Tom, and those are the two that are like cited as like the beginning of the slasher genre in 1960. So I was kind of like impressed. I was like, oh, this came before like Halloween and all of like the golden age of the slasher genre. So I'm kind of interested to like do some digging around and see if there are any more slasher movies of this type that came from this time period, because it's like 10 years earlier than most other ones came out.
Yeah, because what did Black Christmas come out? 75?
74.
4, and then
74. Halloween was 78.
Yeah.
And so
when
is
was Friday
Texas
the 13th?
Chainsaw.
Was that 81?
The second one was 81. I think the first one was 78 or 79.
It was 1980 for the first.
Okay. But, yeah, and I know The Burning came out in 1980, I think, yeah. And that was the one that a lot of people say that, like, Friday the 13th kind of, like, ripped off with, the sequel.
I've heard The Burning's dope. I haven't seen it.
The Burning is good. It's got Jason Alexander in it.
Really?
Or, I don't know if it's necessarily good by today's standards. I watched it when I was in like middle school, but I remember enjoying it.
I've heard good things like from people who've watched it like recently. I talked to a lot of people about the movies. You know, the movies.
Yes. But yeah, no, this is a shitty little film, but I found it pretty funny. I laughed a lot at it.
I did not laugh. I thought... Actually, no, I did laugh at... I like the fact that Daniel's, like, shirtless for, like, the first, like, 30 minutes. And then he gets, like, this little jacket that, like, is above it, that, like, goes down to, like, his belly button. Like, it's like this tiny little jacket that he wears for the rest of it. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Is this supposed to be like sex appeal? Because it's working. Alright, I mean, I like his little jacket, but like, I don't... Even though I think this movie's kind of fascinating in the sense that I can kind of relate to what the director's trying to do, because, you know, I like the idea of making films on, like, no budgets, and I like the fact that he went to some, like, weird, shitty little town to make a movie. I like the aesthetic of this weird, shitty little town.
Yeah.
But, like, I didn't like any of it as a whole, and the parts that, like, I kind of liked were just... Most of it, I was really bored, and I did not have fun. I just thought it was really, really dull. Even though I can respect, like, even I was thinking about, like, this is pretty early for, like, a slasher movie.
Yeah.
But, like, I hated it.
Fair
but
enough.
it's fascinating, you know? Just because I hated it, and I think it's, like, the worst, I think it's still, like, worth a watch for people interested in, like, maybe filmmaking or horror history, because it has a place in history, I'll say that much. At least for, like, B-movies.
Yeah.
That won't stop me from giving it a 1 out of 10, though.
Yeah, I can't give this more than a 1, so...
Okay. I thought we were going to be like, you know what, I'm going to give this like a 4.
No.
Now, the next movie, I did not give a 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. We're going to be talking about Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Mm-hmm.
This blew up last year, won a bunch of awards, and it's currently, like, super highly rated on the Letterboxd, you know, the only good site. The only site I tend to use for anything. Because I'm addicted to films and people's reviews of films, I guess.
Yeah, the Letterboxd is the best place for that.
But yeah, also I love gay movies. And this movie's very gay.
Yeah. There's no denying that.
Based, you know, like late 1700s, end of the 18th century, we're introduced to Marianne, who is like, she's a young painter. She's probably about like 30 at this point. And she's teaching a painting class. And she's like, blah, blah, blah. She's telling them, like, look at the way I'm posing and shit like this. And then suddenly she sees out of the corner of her eye, she's like, what the fuck is that? Who brought that painting out? And somebody's like, I did. I'm sorry. Was I not supposed to? She's like, no, I do not like it. And they talk about it, and it zooms over, and it's The Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
And they ask her the title. And she says just that.
Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Fun fact, the actual, like, French title is, they don't say lady, because I don't know if there's, like, a term for, like, lady, but they use the term, jeune fille, I believe, which is young girl, which, you know, is pretty close to lady. But I think it's important to note that, like, the young, like, it's
the burning youth.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and it feels like, especially now that I've watched more Celine of the director's works, it seems like every one of her films is about, like, coming of age. And even though both of these people in this movie, like, the two leads are both adults in this movie, it still feels like
with something.
Exactly. It's still growing up, just in a different way.
Yeah, this movie is good. I liked it.
I loved it. I loved this movie. I almost watched it again, like, just now, like, right before the podcast, but I was really tired, so I, like, ran to the store, to the gas station, because I'm like, okay, nobody's gonna be there, they just opened, so I went and, like, grabbed an energy drink. And it was like, I've, like, not left my house, like, at all, and I'm like, I'm, like, always scared, I'm like, is somebody gonna cough on me?
Yeah.
But then it transports us back in time, where she is in a boat sailing to an island. The island, I think, is called Brittany. It's in France. It's just an island off, like, the coast of France. And she's been commissioned to paint a portrait of a young woman named Eloise, who is played by Adele Hanel, or Hanel? I don't know. I'm bad with French names. I apologize in advance, because there's a lot of French names that I'm going to be saying in this. Fun fact that's also pretty apparent in the way the film's structured. So Celine Sciamma and Adele dated for a long time. And they broke up, like, 3 months before they filmed this movie.
Oh, boy.
And I can't help but feel that Marianne is just like a self-insert for Celine. And
it makes sense. I mean, an artist character.
Yeah.
Preserved with the memory of the relationship.
Yeah. And just the like longing looks that like are apparent in this movie. It's just like, ooh, I see what's happening. And I knew this before we watched the movie. I knew that they had dated, and I'm like, I wonder how this is gonna go. And I'm like, yeah, I can see what's happening here. But Eloise is supposed to be like married off to a Milanese nobleman, as in from Milan. So he's, that. When I watched this with Hinatea, she was like, what the fuck does Milanese mean? But it's just fucking
someone from Milan.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't just fucking say Italian, but I guess like I don't know. But Eloise's big thing is she like doesn't want to be married to this guy, so she like has been refusing to pose for these portraits to the point where the last painter like up and left. So Marianne has been hired to like pretend that she's like her walking buddy and pretty much memorize her face and her poses and paint from her memory. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I guess I'll do this. But it's fucking weird.
Yeah,
and she's
I personally wouldn't have taken the job. Be like, this is strange. I don't feel right about this.
I mean, I'm sure it's very hard for a woman artist in the late 1700s to get a job. Fair. So, I mean, I probably would, especially after taking a fucking boat trip there. I'm like, well, I mean, I'm already fucking here.
Yeah.
But she's like, why do you want me? Why is she okay with having a walking buddy? And she's like, I do not let her out of the house. And then Marianne's all like, why? And it turns out that her sister, Eloise's sister, who had been like the mistress of the house previously, had been sad and had committed suicide on one of her walks. She was walking with like one of the servants, Sophie, I believe her name was. And she threw herself off the cliff. So Eloise, who was at a convent, came back.
To take her place.
Yep. And a lot of these first couple scenes of them just walking is, they're very, like, unsure of each other. Eloise is, like, really suspicious, because she's like, why the fuck is this bitch, like, keep looking at me like this? Yeah. Marianne just, like, is staring at her, and then as soon as she starts turning, she, like, turns away.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. And then, yeah, I like these scenes. I especially like the scene where they're like looking out at the ocean and she keeps trying to like steal glances, and then she just like looks back to see Eloise glaring at her. Yeah,
I really like Adele. Adele's like performance, because like I love the kind of like grumpiness of Eloise's character.
Oh, for sure.
The way that it like slowly softens as they become friends and then lovers.
Yeah, but yeah, no, she definitely gives a killer performance in this.
So eventually, like, Marianne does finish this portrait, but she tells Eloise's mother, she's like, I need to tell Eloise Like, I want to be the one to show her the portrait. You can't see it until she does. I feel like I've betrayed her. Because even after the short... it's only been 5 days, I believe.
Yeah.
But she's like, I feel like she's trusting me, and we become friends, and I can't do this. So she tells them. She tells her, and Eloise is pissed, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's like... No wonder you've been telling me good things about Italy. You feel guilty.
Yeah. And then
she does show her the painting, and she's like, is that what you fucking think I look like?
And she basically admits that it's not really so much her artistic interpretation as so much as it is pleaser painting to please her mother. And then she basically just insults it, which really pisses her off, so she, as Eloise goes to grab her mother...
She doesn't even, insult it. She says, I knew it wasn't gonna, look just like me, because you've had to do this, but I'm so sad it doesn't reflect you either, your artistic style. It feels... She pretty much says it, feels soulless. It doesn't have... It feels... inhuman in the interpretation of it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So she goes to grab her mother, and then Marianne's well, fuck this, so she just kind of wipes the face off. And the mother's not very pleased with this. She was planning on taking Marianne with her when she left, because she had a friend who wanted a portrait done. But so she's basically alright, fine, it'll be done. 5 days, I'm about to leave. Better be done when I get back. So basically, Marianne, Eloise, and Sophie have the house to themselves, essentially.
Yeah, at first the mother just fired Marianne, but Eloise stepped in and she's like, no, she will do it. I will pose for her. And the mom's like, why? And she's like, because I like her, pretty much.
Well, she says, cool. She basically tells her mom, fuck you, because she's like, well, what difference does it make to you? And she's like, oh, none. Because regardless of what the answer is, the end result will be the same.
Exactly.
So
she leaves for Italy, and then we just get a bunch of scenes where they're painting, obviously, but the rest of the time their bond is growing.
There's a scene where Marianne wakes up in the middle of the night. She's having her period, and then she goes downstairs, and Sophie's helping her out with that, and Sophie explains that she's missed her last 3.
Yeah, she's obviously pregnant. She knows that, and she's just like, I don't want a baby. I'm going to get rid of it. I was just waiting until the mistress had left.
So she's like, oh, well, I'll help you out with that. So they take her out to run laps, and they drink lots of alcohol, and I think they
make some kind
hanging
of...
her by her stomach in that scene? Is that what's going on?
I think so. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, they don't really show.
They make
Sophie.
their homemade abortion juice.
Yeah. And then they go.
I really like how matter-of-factly they portrayed abortion in this film. It was a big deal for Sophie, obviously, but the film just treated it as, this is a thing that's always happened. Yep. This is a thing. It existed. It was never, a huge deal, I guess, and I really liked that.
Yeah. Well, it also shows that it's always kind of had that, same social taboo to it, because she obviously has to wait until her, boss leaves before she can do it. But, yeah. And this leads to, one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is when she goes to kind of, I'm pretty sure it's essentially a gynecologist, where she's just kind of getting it checked out. And, the baby is, right next to her, and it's, touching her face.
Well, yeah, she goes to pretty much this. So first they go to this bonfire where she meets with this doctor, and the doctor's like, or the gynecologist, whatever. She's the one that's going to like perform this abortion because she says, you still have the baby, come see me in 2 days and I'll do it pretty much.
Yeah.
And all this time, there's this big bonfire going. There's this super epic song they sing.
Mm-hmm.
This like acapella thing. I was like, what the fuck is this? This is awesome.
I was really creeped out at first, but then it got
the
really
very
pretty.
beginning is like really creepy because they all just start going like, oh.
And they're just like out in this bonfire in the middle of the woods.
I'm like, is this the witch? I'm just like, all these women are just like, oh. I'm like, are they gonna start floating? But I really like this song, and Eloise is super inexperienced. We've already learned this. Like, she's never felt love or anything, and Marianne has. They've talked about it. And Eloise is like, have you ever felt love? And they're, like, staring at each other longingly. This is when, like, it becomes so much more apparent. Like, the whole movie's pretty gay.
Mm-hmm.
But this is when it's like, are they gonna kiss? And they, like, almost do right here. But then there's another shot of, like, both of them on either side of the bonfire kind of just staring at each other. And, man, I fucking love the lighting in this movie.
Yeah, it had some really good lighting.
Oh, like, all the shots, like, looked so fucking good.
Yeah. But Marianne...
fun fact about Blood Shack real quick. Apparently Ray Dennis Steckler used 2 lights.
Yes.
2 lights!
I saw that.
I couldn't find a source on that, but
yeah.
I believe it. I saw the movie.
But, yeah, so Marianne's dress catches fire as she's kind of like, she steps away from the bonfire. And, then some people come and, like, put it out with a blanket, and then she kind of falls over.
But they go back to the house, and then it's...
This is the scene where she asks about love, right? Because they're, like, hating her from... Or was that before?
They do it at the bonfire. Then they already hung her to do, like, the abortion stuff from her stomach, but...
Okay.
This is when... Oh, they also, at one point, they read the story of Orpheus. and was it Eurydice?
Eurydice, yeah.
And I really like the interpretation they say of, like, I think he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to live. He didn't choose the lover's path. He chose the poet's or whatever. That he would live with the memories. Because memories are always, like, much more perfect than, like, life, But I don't really agree. I think Orpheus was just a fucking idiot. He's like, I know this god told me not to turn around, but my wife's yelling. But I really like that conversation they have.
Yeah, because they're like, well, he turned around because he wanted to preserve the artistic memory, and then they ask the question, and it's like, well, did she say to turn around, or was it, like, a trick from, like, the underworld?
Yeah.
And it's like, who knows?
But then they have, this is when Marianne starts having these, like, visions. She'll be walking around the house, and she'll see Eloise
in a white dress,
standing in a doorway, like, illuminated, in, like, a wedding dress.
Mm-hmm.
So she's now being, like, haunted in these visions of this woman she's, like, obviously fallen in love with. And then the next day after this first vision, they go to a cave and they kiss. And it's magical.
But Eloise immediately runs away and locks herself in her room for the rest of the day.
Yeah, but that night, Marianne returns to her own room, and Eloise is waiting for her there. And she immediately goes and, like, holds her, and she's like, I thought you were scared. Eloise like, I am, I'm very scared. I don't know what's happening, and I don't know what to do, but, they make love. It's very well shot.
Yeah.
And then, there's a scene, I think, right after they have sex, and I really like this scene, because they're just hanging out naked. And, that's this scene, right?
Are you talking about the scene where they, like, take whatever that, like, drug is, where she's like, it'll make us fly?
Maybe. I know they have a jar of deodorant.
Oh, is that what that was? Okay,
yeah, that
makes much more sense, because the way that she described it, she's like, it'll make us fly, and I figured, I'm like, oh, it's obviously some sort of, like, drug or something. That sounds like a description that they would say for getting high back then. But then she just starts rubbing her armpits. I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but
yeah,
I guess that makes more sense.
I think that's just deodorant. That's just what deodorant looked like.
Okay.
I really like this scene because I feel like it's weird to say this, but I feel like sex is often too, like, over-sexualized in movies. Like, I don't think sex should just be like, look how horny we can make you. Like, I like that in this, like, afterglow, they're super happy and stuff, but they're just kind of hanging out. Yeah. They're just kind of laying around. She's, like, playing with her belly. It's just kind of... I think it's a lot more endearing than any other, like, oh, that sex was amazing kind of scene. Yeah. It's just, like, laying in their own love kind of thing, chilling, hanging out. Like, that's the kind of shit I like. I'm like, this is a good-ass scene.
Yeah. I can see that. But, yeah.
And they know they only have a couple days left, obviously, but their love does start growing stronger. And Marianne still is pretty much being constantly haunted. Like, every night when she's alone, pretty much, she'll get another vision of Eloise in this wedding dress.
Mm-hmm.
And they finish the portrait. It's very pretty. Very good. I really like the paintings in this movie. There was the painter that did all the paintings for this movie. Apparently, like, when this movie came out in France, there was a gallery with all the paintings. And I'm like, fuck, that would have been cool to go to.
Yeah. Should leave those up in a museum.
Yeah. But they finish the portrait, and Marianne's, like, immediately pretty much like, I hate that I finished it, because it just means that I'm helping you to leave me, pretty much. And Eloise is like, you cannot be mad at me for something I cannot control. And she's like, I'm sorry, but I am anyway. Like, I also really like this scene, because it's like, they both know that these feelings are, like, unreasonable. Like, they shouldn't be mad at each other for these things that neither of them, like, can control, but they are, but at least they can admit it, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's just, I feel like a lot of the dialogue in this movie's a lot more honest than I'm used to when looking at, like, romance movies. And I'm like, yeah. that's nice. I just want people to be honest with their emotions.
But yeah, they get into, like, a little bit of a fight. Obviously, Marianne's upset with Eloise, because obviously the whole arranged marriage thing, and Eloise is kind of upset with Marianne because she kind of keeps hinting that she just wants her to ask her to fight this, to kind of, like, resist, but Marianne just keeps going, like, no, it's better that you go off to Milan and get married to this guy. It's what your mother wants. It's what's better for you. And I think that, like, obviously really hurts her deep inside, because it's not what she wants, and she knows it's not what Marianne wants either.
Yeah.
And they basically have this scene where they kind of call each other cowards here, and they fight, and they, like, kind of piss off for this little short while. Eloise leaves the house and goes down by the ocean, and is just kind of like
he's sad.
And then Marianne comes out and finds her, and after she gets the news from Sophie that it's official that the mom will be back tomorrow, and she kind of goes to the ocean and apologizes and delivers that message.
So they have like one last night where they're just like laying in bed. It's kind of like the Groundhog Day and where he's like, "Don't fall asleep."
Yeah.
But yeah, they're like, "Don't fall asleep. This is our last night," kind of thing. But they're slowly like drifting off together.
Important thing that we left out that becomes very relevant. In one scene, I don't know if it's this scene or a scene that's the like night before, but they kind of like swap pictures.
Oh yeah, the day before, after they had gotten like over their kind of anger with each other, they're like laying in bed together, and she's in like she's making like a little locket for herself. Marianne's like painting a picture of Eloise in a little locket of herself, and she's like, "So I can have a picture of you forever." And Eloise is like, "Well, that's not very fair."
Yeah. So she paints a picture of herself in Eloise's
page
book.
28 of Eloise's like favorite book.
Yep.
She like she's like looking at her face in like a mirror while using like Eloise's body as like a reference. There we go. I know words. Yes. I know words. So they both have these things to remember each other by. And in the morning, it's like really sad because the mom gets home and she's like, "This is very good." And she gives her the gift, and Eloise is like trying to stay in the room to say goodbye privately, but the mom's like, "Come on out! Come on!" And it's time for Marianne to leave, so she gives Sophie a hug because they became pretty good friends throughout this whole thing. Like, they literally watched Sophie get an abortion.
Yeah.
and then painted it, I remember.
Yes, they did paint it.
I forgot about that scene. And then, so she gives Sophie a hug, and then she walks in the room, and it's like, "I need to give Eloise a hug goodbye." So she, like, walks up to, like, say goodbye to the mom, and then gives her a hug, and the mom's like, "What the fuck is going on? Why are you giving me a hug?" Like, her eyes are like, "What the fuck?" So that she can then give Eloise a hug, and it's, like, a really passionate hug, but she, like, cuts it off after, like, a second, so, like, nothing suspicious.
Yeah.
And then she says goodbye and starts walking away.
But right before she walks out that door, there's a voice that tells her to turn around. And
it's Eloise in the flesh, for real, in the wedding dress.
She turns around for a split second, and then shuts the door, leaving Eloise in
pitch black.
Yep.
And then it cuts back to Marianne in the present time in that art class, and she's
looking at all the portraits that people drew of her, and she looks at the one student who brought out the painting, and she's like, "You made me look incredibly sad in this picture."
She's like, "That's because you were."
Yeah. And she kind of like ponders a bit and recalls, like,
I saw her 2 more times after that, and it cuts to her at like an art show, like a gallery, and like one of her paintings is there, but she had like
it seems like someone had requested that, like, the daughter be painted onto it. Probably, if I had to guess, it was the mother. It doesn't seem like that would be the request of Eloise, but you never know. It could have been.
Well, no, that was a new painting, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because that was a different dress.
Oh, yeah, I guess it was. Fuck.
So, but she had gone to this gallery because her own picture was there, that she had submitted under her father's name.
Yeah.
Because he had more notoriety and he was a male, so obviously people showed more attention to him.
Mm-hmm. Her painting, by the way.
I really like her fucking painting.
Yeah, it's adaptation of the myth of a fucking Orpheus and what was her name? I always fucking forget. Eurydice, whatever fucking name is. And it's talking about how, like, usually it's before the turn or after she has died, but instead it's them looking like straight at each other as if they're saying each other. Yeah. Because it feels like, I like that, because, like, you only need a moment to say goodbye. You only need, like, a single look. And I like that because that's all they really had, is they had that single look, that split second before she shut the door, was like their goodbye. But then she sees in this, like, directory that there's a painting. And she's like, what? And she walks over, and it's this painting of Eloise and her daughter. But Eloise had specifically asked to have her book painted with her, and she has the page, like, open to 28. Yes. And I really hated this part because I really wanted them not to do the hard zoom into the 28, because I had noticed it when they were just showing the painting straight up, and I'm like, please don't hard cut to that. But they did, and I was like,
Yeah. I mean, I didn't mind it.
Small gripe.
But, yeah. But I thought that was very cute and sad. And then I saw her one last time, and she's like at this opera house, because Eloise had talked about how she had never been to, like, any orchestras or opera houses or anything, and they went.
Loves music.
She loves music, and she had been like, I wanted to go to this church. Like, she loved going to church because they always sang music. They sang songs and shit. But they're sitting on opposite sides, and Marianne sees Eloise, but Eloise doesn't see her, and it just slowly zooms in as Marianne, like, stares at her, and Eloise is just, like, experiencing the music, and she's, like, laughing and crying, and then it just ends.
Yep. Yeah. This is a sad movie. I
love the movie, personally. It might be my favorite movie from last year.
Yeah, I don't know. It's still very fresh to me. I'm still processing it.
But yeah, I want to watch it again. I don't know if it'll be my favorite movie of last year, but I could see it. I need a second watch, though.
Yeah, it's definitely off the top of my head in my top 3 of last year, I'd say. I don't know where exactly it plays, or if I'd, like,
what is that top 3? What, The Lighthouse, this, and
Parasite,
yeah.
Yeah. Those are the 3 off the top of my head. There might have been, like, something else I saw last year that I might have liked, but yes, actually there was, but I'll bring that up here in a second. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed this movie. I really liked it.
I really like this director. I want to watch the 2. This was her 4th feature-length film, and from what I've gathered, it's her best. But I really enjoyed Water Lilies, and I suspect, I think her other one's called Girlhood and Tomboy, and I've heard those 2 are pretty fucking awesome as well. Water Lilies was good, but it very much, like, plays out like a first attempt, like it's obvious.
Yeah.
But this movie kind of fucked me up too. Like, I got really sad. I was like, oh! But it may have just been like, I've been just getting really depressed because of obviously having to stay at home all the time. Obviously, quarantine can get you depressed. So I feel like movies emotionally, like, I've been able to connect with the movies more because of this. which is both a good and bad thing, because it's like, if I watch a sad movie, I'm sad about it all day.
Yeah.
But it's nice being able to, have such visceral connections with movies right now.
Yeah. Definitely.
The filming of this movie, they did it in 38 days, which is pretty fast. I feel like most movies are done in 3 months of how many days of filming is average?
I'm not exactly sure. I think it depends on obviously the type of movie. Something like a Marvel movie's gonna probably take a little bit longer to set up and make, as opposed to something like this,
more dialogue-driven films.
Huh?
More dialogue-driven films like this.
More dialogue-driven films. More. I could imagine something like this could take potentially a little longer than a Marvel film, because they have just green screen sets, and they just have to worry about the lighting and stuff. They have to worry about the locations and the costumes and the lighting on this, and the intense dialogue. I don't know.
But this took 38 days. It was only filmed pretty much in 2 locations. Obviously, they filmed on that island of Brittany, in a place called Saint Pierre Quiberon, which is just that island and that part of the island. But all the inside shots in that place was a chateau in La Chapelle-Gauffier, which is in the surrounding area of Paris. So,
okay. But
that house was just there because Paris architecture is pretty fucking lit. But it's funny because I feel like more than most movies we watch, the biggest thing I was impressed on was the mise en scène in this film. And the other film that comes to mind when I've talked about it is Vagabond. And I'm I guess it's only French films that it really speaks to me. When it's visual storytelling, because this because of the production design and the lighting, and it's just it felt just as much storytelling was going on with the visuals as there was with the dialogue. And I like when it's a 50-50 split. It feels really nice and fluid, and I feel like I can be swept away by the emotions of the film if all aspects of it are speaking to me, I guess.
Oh, I agree. 100%, yeah.
And that's why I think this and Vagabond, spoke to me so well, because, everything was telling me a story. It wasn't just... Because a lot of the times it feels like sets are built or costumes are made just to help deliver the story of, the dialogue. It feels like it's tacked on to help this, instead of being this is one cohesive unit together kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
That it's more just kind of as service to the dialogue instead of in service to
the story. They should both be in service to the story, but instead it feels like most films, the visual storytelling is in service to the dialogue to help that tell the story. So it feels more indirect, I guess.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I'd agree. I think that this film does a really good job at handling its mise en scène. That's one of the things where I was griping so hard about the page number hard cut at the end, because I like the idea of it only showing the portrait in that kind of wide shot, because it's the whole idea of a painting is you're supposed to go in and peek at the little micro details, and pick it apart like that. Exactly what mise en scène is. So
yeah, it just unfortunately feels like I hate saying this because it makes me sound pretentious, and I feel pretentious when I say it, but it just feels like a lot of movie watchers are really lazy in, like, viewing movies, which is fine. Like, you should be able to watch a movie. If that's how you want to go, if you just want to watch out and zone out a movie, that's fine. I don't want to make it seem like I'm like, if you're not paying attention to the movie, fuck you. Because do whatever you want. But it's unfortunate that people feel like they have to...
down.
Yeah, exactly. They have to cater. They have to, like, spoon feed you this information. Obviously, that's the only real part of the movie that I think is really spoon feeding you into information. So I don't really care too much. It's like when it happens nonstop that it really annoys me.
Yeah.
So, like, one instance of it isn't really going to bother me. But I just think it's unfortunate that this has to happen. Because it feels like Sciamma wants to be successful, not just for, like, art house connoisseurs, but for, like, standard audiences, so she has to do things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So people are like, oh, because I feel like regular people will now go, did you see the number 28? I don't know if you remember, but that's the place where they drew the picture.
Yeah. It's just like, ding, 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 here you go, it's right here. In case you
win a prize.
It's like, oh, thanks.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, I was just kind of in there.
You know what I really liked about this movie? The sound design.
Yeah, no, I had a really good sound design.
It felt like, honestly, sometimes it felt like I was watching, like, an ASMR video.
Yeah.
Like, everything sounded really good in it.
Yeah. Definitely reminded me of some of the, like, art restoration videos I watch on YouTube in the very beginning when she's, like, sketching out some of the tones of the painting that she's making.
Yes, yeah. But, yeah, like, that's... the sound quality in a lot of her films, or, like, at least in Water Lilies, even, like, her first film, is really good. I was surprised by that. Like, for a first film, I feel like that's one of the weaker parts about most people's first films is there's some technical aspects they haven't quite mastered, and I feel like sound design is one of the
sound is one of the hardest
weakest parts
down.
But it's been pretty solid from the get-go, and this one, like, it was fantastic.
Huh.
Also, I really, really like the music in this movie.
Yeah, no, I had a good soundtrack.
And I think I want to talk about the musical artist. I believe his name is, or his artist name is Pero One. But his name's Jean-Baptiste Delobier, I believe. And he's like a semi-famous composer. He also directs some films occasionally, but he's done all of the compositions on all of her films. And I think that shows because it feels like a lot of this movie has like the soundtrack has a personal connection. I don't know if like that came to you at all, but it just, I don't know. The music just felt personal to me.
I didn't necessarily pick up on like a personal tone, but I did like the soundtrack. Maybe I'll get that if I were to like hone in on it on a second watch, because it wasn't like top of my priority list when I was like focusing in on the movie, obviously.
Yeah. Because
it was my first time watching it.
And I feel like that's why, you know, some people are like, why do these directors always work with the same actors or composers? I'm like, this is why. Because when you can build a connection with like an actor this well, they'll make your movie better than it could ever possibly be. Like, like, for example, Song Kang-ho and Bong Joon-ho's movies, like, I feel like their connection together gets better each time, to the point that they're both building each other up at this point.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's definitely a mutual relationship of, like, understanding, like, the director's abilities and the actor's range, and knowing how far you can, like, push someone and challenge them before it's, like, crossing a line or whatever, yeah. You know, it takes a lot of, like, personal getting to know you to, like, craft something so poignant like that.
No, I completely agree. But yeah, I was in love with this movie. I'm very excited for a second watch, and by the next episode, I probably will have seen her other 2 films. I'm guessing, because what the fuck else am I gonna do with my time?
Fair enough.
Watch Gundam and watch Celine Sciamma films.
Sounds like a good combination.
I gave this movie a 10, personally.
I would give it probably a 9. I thought it handled everything very well.
Except for the 28.
Yeah, except for that. That was my one major gripe with the film.
But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I was very sad because Hinata didn't like it very much, and as I was watching it, I had a feeling that she wouldn't, because she also didn't like Vagabond.
She just doesn't like French movies.
That she doesn't, and I'm like, you live in France, and it's so sad because I love French films.
Oh yeah, no, the French are arguably the best at cinema.
It's, at the very least, like, I feel like when it comes to, like, non-English films, I love French films and I love, like, Korean films the most. From what I've seen, obviously.
Yeah.
And at the very least, she likes most Korean films I like, so I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah. I feel like from the very beginning, Francis had this, like, kind of, like, auteur kind of outlook on making movies that aren't just, like, the mainstream French films. Because I've seen a couple mainstream French films that were bad. Like, obviously a lot of mainstream films from anywhere are going to be kind of the same. But I feel like their more independent stuff is a lot more, like, auteur-based than maybe other countries, and it might be harder for people to get into, while I think that South Korean films have a great way of, like, blending together, like, artistic integrity with being able to be consumed by the general public and still be enjoyable, I guess.
Yeah.
Which I don't think either way is, like, the wrong way to make films, but from what I've seen, it seems like that's the majority. Like, Bong Joon-ho is a great example of, like, making brilliant films and adding a bunch of, like, really great artistic moments while also making them, like, really easy to watch for, like, the general public.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he's really good at finding the balance in between the two.
Yeah. While, like, I understand, I think Vagabond's a fucking brilliant movie, but I get why some people wouldn't like it.
Oh, yeah.
Because they hate women, obviously. Just kidding. Yeah, so 9.5 average for this movie, and a 1 average for the other. So, very polar opposites. What are we watching next week from you?
Alright, my film, 2019, was fantastic film called The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Oh, and is that on Prime?
I think so, yeah.
Let me just make sure.
It's A24, so.
It is indeed on Prime Video. If you don't have Prime Video, it's also available for free on Canopy if you have a library card. Let me check my video movie. I forgot the name of it. Hold on real quick.
Ooh.
Okay. What John Carpenter films have you not seen?
Have I not seen?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. I'd have to, like, pull up a list.
Have you watched The Fog?
No, I haven't seen his version. I've seen the remake.
Alright. We're going to watch The Fog.
Okay.
There was a remake of The Fog?
Yeah, it's from like 2005. It's not very good. Wouldn't recommend it.
By Rupert Wainwright? Oh yeah, it has a 1.6. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah.
The Fog is, I mean, you can buy or rent it from YouTube. So that means the Google store. Yeah, so I'm excited for The Fog. Also, I'm probably going to be watching the Gunbuster anime this week.
Okay, cool.
So, and maybe the sequel anime. Depends. I've been in an anime kick, but like mostly like mech anime and robot anime. I love mech animes.
Yeah, no, they're great.
Like my favorite anime right now is still probably Gurren Lagann.
That's good. Gunbuster is great. I haven't seen Die Buster, but Gunbuster is fucking phenomenal.
I feel like there might be a lot more anime on my top 50 this time around. I feel like my top 15 will be... Actually, I feel like my whole list will be, like, so much different than, like, my previous list.
Yeah. Mine too, probably.
So, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Tell your grandpa about the podcast, because I think he'd really like it. We hope you're all being safe out there, staying at home, living your life, watching anime. Stay safe, and if you have any questions for the podcast, you can always leave them in the YouTube channel comments or email us at twoweensandascreen@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on fucking, I don't know, do we have a Facebook page? Not yet. I'll probably make one soon. Anyway, thanks for watching. Anything you want to say to the viewers, Thomas?
Get fucked.
All right. Adios.
Later.